In the animal kingdom, gorillas often greet each other with a hug. Certain species of penguins propose to their partner with a pebble. Female lions do all the hunting for their family. Orcas live with their parents their whole lives. While every family is different and every family is unique, the truth is, they're still our fam.
Let me ask you a question. Who are the people that you love the most? The answer to that is probably the same people that frustrate you the most. I know for me, growing up in middle school and high school, my family, I loved them so much, I would take a bullet for them. At the same time, they were the same people that would frustrate me more than anything. There were times where I just felt like I needed a break. I needed to get away. I needed to clear my mind and get some time away. The reality is, though, we all have families, and our families all look different. Maybe for some of you, you grow up and you have a mom and a dad. Some of you, maybe a single parent. Maybe you grew up with your grandparents. I don't know what your family looks like, but the reality is God has given each of us a specific family situation for a specific purpose. He wants to use our family to help us grow. Speaking of families, let me tell you about my family. You might know this about me, but I come from a large family. I'm one of 7 kids. Yes, that's right, 7. That means, do the math, I had 6 brothers and sisters, 4 sisters. Imagine trying to have time in the bathroom with 4 sisters. That's right, that's what my upbringing was like. But I love my family. And one of the things that's unique about my household growing up is that we were really loud. There were a lot of kids and there were a lot of words to get in there, and you had to be loud to get over top of everybody else. We also loved to gather around the dinner table, and that's one of those places where we would gather and we would have great conversations. Now that I have my own family, we also gather around the table, but what I've noticed is my kids have very distinct personalities. My 2 older kids, my daughters, Haley and Riley, they don't like their food to touch. In fact, they like those little plates that separate all their foods and put them in little compartments. Maddox, he's 1 year old, and he's far on the other side. He loves to dig in, smash it up. He gets passionate about his food. He loves to eat. There's 2 kinds of people there, right? I don't know which one you are. What I've noticed is sometimes in our spiritual walk, we can often struggle with compartmentalizing our faith in Jesus Christ and our families. In other words, let me say it this way. Sometimes it feels like our faith and our family don't really intersect. I go to Christian school or I go to public school, and then I go to church on Sunday. That's where my faith is. And then I come home, and that's where my family is. And we struggle to see, where does God and my everyday life, like my family, intersect? Well, good news. Scripture talks about this very topic. We're going to dive in to some writings that the Apostle Paul wrote to the church in Colossae. Let's dig in. We're going to look at Colossians chapter 3, verses 12 through 14. Let's read this together. Therefore, as God's chosen people, holy and dearly loved, clothe yourself with compassion, kindness, gentleness, and patience. You see, the Apostle Paul here is writing to the church saying, guys, we have to be loving to one another. We're the church family. We have to be the ones who are showing love to one another more than anyone else. We need to put on these characteristics of Christ. In other words, these are things that aren't natural to us. We have to literally put them on. Let me illustrate it this way. When you wake up in the morning, you probably put on some clothes, right? Hopefully you shower first, brush your teeth, and then you put on some clothes for school. And those are things that you wouldn't wear to bed. They're for a very specific purpose. Now, I have a jacket here, and I put my jacket on when it's cold outside or when I'm leaving the house, but I have to put it on. It takes a little bit of work. Just like that, Jesus is calling us to put on love. And he characterizes it with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness. And how about this one? This is a tough one with family, patience. Then he goes on, the next verse, he says, bear with one another and forgive one another. If any of you has a grievance against someone, forgive as the Lord forgave you. And he wraps it up and says, over all these virtues, that's what these things are. He's saying, put these virtues on. He says, put on love. Just like you might put on a jacket, just like you might put on your shoes in the morning. It takes intentionality. You have to think about it. You have to take action. And the Apostle Paul is calling us to put on love in that same way. Guess what? There's going to be moments this week, today, maybe in the next hour, where Jesus is calling you to put on love. Where you're maybe struggling to forbear with someone. In other words, you're struggling to be patient with them. God's calling you to do that. We said earlier, sometimes it feels like our faith and our family don't intersect. Well, here's the good news. When we love our family, we are allowing God and family to intersect. That's where we have the opportunity to act out the love of Jesus Christ. That's where we have the opportunity to act out our faith. So when you are wondering, how does my faith impact my everyday life? It's through love. That's one of the ways that God has given us to act out our faith. So I want to challenge you with this. This week, how can you put on love? Maybe for some of you, it's you have a little brother or sister, and maybe you think they are annoying. But maybe putting on love is to spend some time with that little brother or sister who looks up to you. Maybe putting on love for you is doing the dishes after dinner. Maybe putting on love for you is being patient with a teacher at school. Whatever it may be, we want to give you an opportunity now to discuss that in your group. So take a few minutes here as you gather in your group. Ask those questions. How can I put on love this week? How can I show love to my family?